The EU has been warned that if it continues to drag its feet over the Brexit talks, then the UK will walk away in September without a trade or security deal. The Sunday Express understands that Boris Johnson has authorised an ultimatum to Brussels and its chief negotiator Michel Barnier because of the refusal by the EU to come to the table with reasonable demands. The warning comes ahead of the fourth round of negotiations running from Tuesday until Friday next week, with talks across all 11 workstreams held via video conference. This follows a letter from David Frost, the UK's chief negotiator, to Mr Barnier restating the British position that a future relationship deal must respect British redlines on controlling access to its own fishing waters, not being bound by EU laws and regulations or subject to the European Court of Justice. But despite putting forward reasonable suggestions, Britain has been answered with ideological demands from the EU which do not respect British sovereignty. As a result, a senior source from the Brexit division of the Cabinet Office has revealed that while talks will continue, EU foot-dragging risks collapsing hopes of a trade deal. The latest intervention come because the UK wants to inject momentum into EU trade talks. There are concerns that EU leaders think they don't need to pay attention until the autumn, but that could be too late. According to the source, to date, it has been the UK who has been trying to move things forward across the board. This was evident in the previous round of negotiations, where the EU would not engage in the proposals the UK had tabled, and continued to insist on its own unnegotiable positions. But the UK believes the conditions could finally now be right to up the pace in July, after the high-level meeting, likely to take place via video conference, between the Prime Minister and European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen. It is understood that Mr Frost's letter to Mr Barnier sounded the alarm bell for some EU members and made them realise just how risky it could be for the EU to continue marking time. A UK source close to the negotiations said, "We expect next week's round to be constructive and keep the process on track. But then we are going to need things to move forward faster. We recognise the EU have other important issues on their plate too, as we all do, but they can't just mark time on these talks."